So I'm just looking at, there's a short course and there's a long course. And the ladies' hill record, just going back here to, goes right back to 2005.
Drivers compete against
back in the day,
typically around
Sarah Cordingley held the hill record in OMS 2000, 55.58. But then Sandra Tomlin then was driving a Pilbeam MP72, and she did a 54.32 and a 53.80.
The British
Sue Young,
Championship is the
remember Sue Young, Derek Young's wife, and Sue did compete last year, and they've still got the Gould GR51 that she drove last year.
The contest for the title of British Hill Climb champion is dominated by powerful race cars, with reigning champion Wallace Menzies driving a Gould single-seater powered by a 3.3-litre Cosworth engine designed for the Indy race car series in the USA. The BHC Cup runs alongside the main championship and is fought out between a wide range of cars, all running in classes of similar type of vehicles, from road-going saloons all the way through to specialised single-seater race cars.
The TVR has left, as we've got the Mini as well, so we'll be back in the business. My screen's gone blank, but I'm back. I've just found it here. That's it. I'll readjust the microphone. Goodness me. Well, I'll have to change my glasses, so I'll put these ones back on. That's it. Oh God, getting old's not good, is it? Who wants to get old? You can't see anything. Goodness me. Never mind. Here comes that Mini, that lovely little Mini of Richard Derrick. 1275 GT Mini. Pretty little car, isn't it? Pretty little car. And he'll be followed by Mike Brown in the TVR Vixen 1800, which is the yellow one you've just got coming into view now, coming into Farmhouse Bend. So here comes a little TVR. Not many of these left, and these are worth good money. Some of these had Ford engines. This has got an 1800 engine. I'm not sure that it might not possibly even have a Volvo engine in that, but I'll have to find that one out. 1800 engine anyway. Pretty car. Left the line, we've got Jim Johnson in that lovely Triumph TR6, that blue one. Here he comes now. Back in the day, I had a TR5. I wish I still had it now, but that was a long time ago. So it's no good. It's long gone. Probably been scrapped by now. Or if it hasn't, it's probably worth about 40 grand. But there we go. So Jim Johnson goes by in the TR6. Peter Rogerson, he's in a Ferrari 360 Modena F1. Just watching out for him now. Yeah, here he comes now. He's down there at Orchard. Approaching Farmhouse. Good clutch of Ferraris here today, and some of these Ferrari owners have got way more than one Ferrari. One of them has got about 13. One's got about, I think, 10. So makes my rather pathetic collection of old bangers rather rubbish, really. But never mind, we can but dream. Okay, well, talking of Ferraris, that looks like Anthony Atwood in the Dino. It is the Dino. This is probably the most valuable Ferrari here today. This one has had a full rebuild. It's not going to be going particularly quick. It's far too valuable to be driven quick. And I believe he has a collection too of various ones, and I don't know what he's got, but he's got loads. He's here with his father as Brian Jackson goes by in the Ferrari Portofino, and front engine Ferrari, very nice indeed. And of course, things like Ferrari GTOs now, well, I think Nick Mason's one was valued at about 75 million quid, I think, which is pretty staggering, isn't it? And of course, Nick Mason, the drummer with Pink Floyd, has got a magnificent collection of cars, all sorts, which sometimes he exhibits to people. He keeps them in at an airfield in the Cotswolds. Now something's happened down there. There's a red Ferrari going very, very slowly around Orchard. I don't know if he's been red flagged or not. So that's Steve Nunney in the 348 TS. No, I don't see any red flags out, and he's just going cruising up the hill. Probably eating an ice cream as we speak. Got the radio on, the aircon. Having a good look at the hill. He's getting his money's worth, isn't he? Cruising up the hill. Don't know what's happened there. I'm sure he'll tell us later on. So what have we got down at the start? Have we got some more? No, in fact they're all going quite slowly at the moment. Richard Priest is on the hill in his F4 or 430. He's down at Country at the moment as we speak. Going a bit quicker. Certainly no red flags out. No, I think it's all fine. I think they're just they're probably not going too quick. They want to drive them home. They probably haven't brought them here on trailers. They'll probably stop on the way home for something to eat. Into farmhouse. Opens up the throttle. Changes gear. I should imagine they're semi-automatic gearboxes. Sometimes when I'm on the Midland Hills, I've got some of our other commentators who are really into all these things and they can tell you everything about Ferraris. I'm afraid I can't, but never mind. We'll have to manage. Well, that looks remarkably like Martin Jones, and he'll be followed by Rob Samuel. So Martin Jones comes into farmhouse now in his Ferrari F360. Lovely Ferrari red. Yeah, certainly can't miss that engine sound, can you? Lovely. Now, some of these seem to be getting a bit quicker to me. This looks like Rob Samuels in the 458 Speciale. Yeah, that looks the part, doesn't it? Seems to be travelling pretty quick there. Just as a guide, how quick is he going up the straight there? Going off to the finish. So 77.28 for Martin Jones. I'm just looking amongst the Ferraris. Brian Jackson a 68.66. Richard Priest, a 67.61 for Rob Samuels. So that's the quickest so far. As John Kennedy comes by us now in the 360 Modena. That's a lovely looking thing, isn't it? Goodness me, he's trying hard too as he approaches the finish. And we've got Pauline Goodwin in the 328 Ferrari, which is she's a very regular competitor. They've got a great collection of cars. Her husband John was the gentleman that went into space last year. He went and they paid, I think he paid 20 grand to do that right back in the day, and then many years later he finally went into space. So I think he had a bargain trip there, and took a lot of guts to do that, I should think. As David Snelson goes by, Pauline Goodwin goes by in the 328, I beg your pardon, and David Snelson will be the next one to follow in the 488 Spider. David's got a big collection of cars. Here he comes in his yellow one. I don't know how he decides which one to bring. Anyway, here comes young David. Well, that sounds great, doesn't it? That sounds great. So in the times, John Kennedy, a 67.24, Rob Samuels, a 67.61, and Brian Jackson, 68.66, Richard Priest, 69.76, David Snelson goes quickest with a 63.78. Wow, that is good, isn't it? That is good. Here comes John McKenzie in that lovely Mark 1 Cortina having a rerun. 1700 cross-flow engine, well-campaigned car, that one beautifully turned out. They do still look great. The Mark 1 Cortinas on the lowered suspension, they just still look the part, don't they? So, yeah. In the Sports and saloons cars manufactured up to 72. Mike Brown is leading with a 69.34. Jim Johnson with a 70.56. John McKenzie in that Cortina a 71.65. Richard Derrick 75.07 as Richard Med comes into view in the MGC. Yeah, that's one of my favourite cars of the meeting, actually. Absolutely stunning. I love the colour scheme on that. It just looks so right, doesn't it? Now here you go. Ian Peacock in a lovely little MG Midget. Well campaigned car. A-Series mini engine in that one, as they all had. Making very good progress. So 82.56 for Robert Med in the MGC. As Ian Peacock goes up towards the finish, he's going to finish in 72.91. Now I see a marshal walking down the track, down on the live stream here. Just going to check something. So, a little bit stop-start this afternoon, isn't it? A little bit stop-start. Just watch yourselves in the sun, folks. I'll be an old man preaching to you. Don't get sunburnt. That's not fun. That is not fun. Get some suntan cream on. Put a hat on. I see somebody eating an ice cream there. Yeah, I imagine the ice cream man's doing very well here today. Excellent. Tomorrow I will be joined by the legend Steve Wilkinson. Wilco is coming to play tomorrow from his Southport home. He'll be here bright and early. I got asked to come here this year, and I said, well, I'd love it if Steve can make it for some of the meetings like the British round, because obviously he's got the knowledge, and we all enjoy a big round of the British, the big points championship, the runoffs. If you've not seen a runoff before, then I sincerely advise you to come tomorrow. If you want to see the fastest cars in the country going up the hill, coming up Harewood, with the record holder Matthew Ryder here today, and he'll be looking, can he break his own record tomorrow? That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? His main championship rival at the moment, Wallace Mingies, won't be here tomorrow. But Alex Summers will be here. We've got Will Hall will be here. Got Jack Cottrell. We're going to have plenty of others. Trevor Willis will be here. So this year we haven't got Scott Moran. He's having at least a year out, maybe longer. He's a family man, Scott Moran. Roger Moran's son. They both won the British HillClimb Championship. And Scotty has won it 6 times, which is incredible. But he's now retired at the moment. He will be driving one of Dad's rally cars. His dad has got at least 2 Skoda R5s. Oh, now is Richard. Is he live streaming now? He's just telling me hello from Japan. JP. Yes, well, good afternoon to you too. I didn't know we were live streaming. Well, hello from Beer and Tom in Munster in France. So at the moment, HillClimb.TV is live streaming. Amazing. So I don't know if it's actually showing on YouTube this afternoon, Richard. You'll no doubt be listening to your headphones. Good afternoon from Jersey in the Channel Islands, Adrian Passman. Well, good afternoon. I hope you've got good weather out there. I've been to your islands before. I've been fishing out over there. Last time I came to Herm. And Herm is a little island, as you know, and you need a separate ferry to get there. And we rented a cottage there and we went for a week's fishing, and it was absolutely brilliant. There was no transport. You had to walk everywhere. And the beaches were absolutely stunning. The weather was actually pretty lively. Now I just see what's happening here. We've got the one of the that looks like the little OMS of the Curves, the little 750 turbocharged bike engine one. That's always a very rapid car. So anyway, that's been dragged up towards the finish. Didn't look like any major damage on it, hopefully. So we'll soon be back in action. So this live stream that Rich Danby is doing now, you can see it on your iPhones and normal phones, as long as you've got a smartphone, on HillClimb.TV. So you can tune into that on YouTube, and he will be streaming live tomorrow of all the whole day pretty much. And we'll be bringing you commentary most of the day tomorrow, and we will be here. Good afternoon from Gosport in Hampshire, Gerald O'Gara. Good afternoon to you, sir. Hi from South Carolina, USA. Life in Janie's crotchet world. Goodness me, we won't go into that one, will we, folks, eh? Hello from Germany, Hanover, Eric Lausch. Good afternoon to you, sir. Is it Obidazen? Have I got that right? Who needs an F1 weekend when there's hill climb? Greetings from Robert and Eliane in The Hague. Fantastic. Lovely for you to be watching. Tomorrow, of course, is going to be the big action day, isn't it? That is going to be when it all kicks off. It's going to be marvellous, incredible. In fact, as commentators, I certainly can speak for myself, I live for the runoffs. That is when it is really all down bare knuckle driving. You get 12 cars in the runoff, of which 10 of them qualify for points. Obviously, the fastest cars get the most points towards the championship. We had a Midlands runoff last week at Shelsley Walsh, which I was commentating on, and young Alex Coles, who's up in the paddock driving the supercharged Force, was second in the runoff, and second only to Graham Wynne in a 4-litre Judd ending Gould. Good afternoon from sunny Herefordshire. Yes, it's a lovely day for hill climb racing from Michael Wilson. It certainly is. It's lovely up here at Harewood. This is the warmest I've ever been here. Sometimes we're up here with blankets round ourselves, but not today. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a lovely dry day. It's great to be back. This is the first round of the British tomorrow, by the way. The other rounds we've had, the one was postponed at Shells at Prescott because the paddock was waterlogged. Basically, you couldn't park any cars. And goodness me, hello from Moscow, Russia. FNX, great event. A name I cannot pronounce. It's in Russian, so I'm passing on that one. But good afternoon to you. Guatemala from Daniel and Pedro. Daniel Cole, amazing. Guatemala. That's miles away, isn't it? That's South America, isn't it? Incredible. What's on today? Well, today is the Harewood Championship. So this is the Harewood Hill we're on today. This is the Harewood Championship. So they have their own individual championship each year, and they get points based on a bogey time, which is 20 seconds faster than the record for that particular class. And however many seconds they can knock off their bogey time determines the amount of points they get. And the one who gets the most points at the end of the year wins the Harewood Championship. So they will be here all through the season. So when the British Championship is not here, and we're here twice this year, they will be here racing in the Harewood Championship, and with very full entries. It's always very well subscribed, and actually it's one of those things, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have the latest all singing or dancing car. You're racing in your own classes against a bogey time, so fantastic. Well, I have to tell you, we're back in action here. We've got Mark Lawrence on the hill in his Porsche Cayman. So we've got one or two cars. There's not a great stream of cars going down to the start at the moment, but there's enough to keep us going. That's all we care about, isn't it? And it's it's not unusual here at Harewood that you can have sometimes 3, even 4 cars on the hill at once. I can see at least 2 cars on the hill at the moment. We've got Mark Lawrence on the hill in his Porsche Cayman, and David Lanfranchi, who went very quickly earlier in the Ford Puma. He's also on the hill, but here comes Mark Lawrence in the Cayman coming around Farmhouse. We've suddenly got a stream of cars going down to the start as the Cayman screams up the finish straight towards Quarry there, through the speed trap at 81 miles an hour through the speed trap. We'll be seeing David Lanfranchi next in the Ford Puma, and I don't know if he's any relation to Tony Lanfranchi, who used to race back in the 60s and 70s very, very successfully, so I will ask him afterwards. Joshua Saxton also will be following in the Westfield. So here comes David. Okay. I'm just trying to see the number on that one. They throw me a curveball. Is that 738? 738. 738. David Lanfranchi's not in a Ford Puma. So that was a curveball they threw me there. That looks like a little Westfield. He'll be followed by Joshua Saxton in another Westfield, who's not in my view yet. I can see a Mini down there in the distance. Joshua Saxton. I think Joshua slipped by me in all that excitement there. So looking at the times, in the space frame cars and replica cars up to, changing that again, the road cars, the series production cars up to and including 1400cc. Leading that class is Adam Riley, 66.38, as Chris Petit comes into our view now in the little Rover Mini John Cooper S. Pretty little car, that one. And John Donaldson will be following him in his Rover Mini. And just going back to those times, up to 1400 Adam Riley, Sam Billington a 70.23, Nick Mitchell a 71, Ryan Billington a 71.43, and Matthew Chesterton 71.77, Tony Pickering 72.47. So we'll be seeing, we're looking out now for John Donaldson in the Rover Mini. Here he comes now. Nicely turned out little car, isn't it, in the red and the white roof. Be followed by Laura Houseman in that little VW Lupo Sport. This is a totally standard car. Dad bought it for her to go racing. He drives it very well. Regular competitor here, and she won Best Newcomer last year. If I remember rightly, she was telling me earlier, which was great. I think Dad told me that proudly. Tony Pickering I'm looking out for in the Ford Fiesta. Here comes Tony. Round Farmhouse in the Ford Fiesta. I think that is the 1 litre Ecotec version. Andrew Jeffrey will be following in his Austin Cooper S. So just looking at the top of the pops here, Laura Houseman there did a 74.44, which is an improvement on this morning's time. Still at the top is Adam Riley in that class with a 66.38. Andrew Jeffrey is coming into sight now in the Austin Cooper S. I did ask him earlier if it was a genuine one. It's not. I think it's a replica version, but still very nicely turned out car. And will be followed by Stephen Ripley in a Smart Roadster Blue Wave. Now this is a 600cc car, so it's a small engine, pretty little thing, a little smart car, tiny little thing, but goes very well indeed. We'll be followed by Matthew Chesterman in his Mini, and then Adam Riley in his Volkswagen Up. So we've got several cars on the hill at the moment, and here comes Stephen Ripley, and now this comes Matthew Chesterman in the Mini. That's nicely turned out too, isn't it? Pretty. The standard of preparation on a lot of these cars is very impressive. Going into quarry, absolutely flying into quarry. It's a very tricky finish here. Matthew Chesterton going through there, finishes in a 72.05. That's a little bit slower than this morning's time. Did I just miss the Adam Riley? I think I did in the Volkswagen Up. Yes, I did. Just gone round quarry up the top there. Will be followed by Sam Billington in the Peugeot 205. Now, if I remember rightly, these are the rally versions, so they've got the smaller engines, so a little bit lighter than the 205 GTI, but they're pretty much on the same sort of pace. 66 mile an hour as he approaches quarry going into the finish there. Nick Mitchell will be following him up shortly. In fact, he's had a spin. He's had a moment. He's down the course. The marshals are going down there. At the moment, he's down by Chippies. Just come out of the S's there, heading towards Chippies. You can see the car stopped down there. The marshals will walk down. They've opened the doors. I'll shut up while Leslie's talking. Excellent. So we're back in business. Yes, they're just pushing that car off there, down the bottom there by Chippy's there. They're putting it into the area where it'll be safe and they can recover it later on. I suspect they probably had an engine failure. But either way, the car looks intact. No dramas. I'm sure the driver's fine. He's sat in the car now. The marshals are with him. They just pushed him off out the way. So we're going to be back in action soon. I can see we've got car 43 on the line. And car 43, as we refer back to the sheet, that will be James Izzard in the Mazda MX-5. Well, the Mazda MX-5's very popular now, you know, for hill climbing. You can buy them relatively cheaply. They're pretty much ready to go, particularly if you're in the production class. Drive them to the circuits and the hills and drive them home as long as you don't bend them. You can have the aircon on, you can have the radio on. Very nice indeed. And in fact, this one here, you can put the hood down on it as well. Very good. You can get one. This one's a K-Reg, so that's quite an elderly one actually. And I'm seeing all this because it's not because I've got extraordinary eyesight, which I haven't, but actually because of Rich's live stream, he's got a camera there down on the start, which is great. Makes my life a lot easier, doesn't it? Anyway, it won't be long, folks, before we're back in action. We hope you're enjoying. If you're watching this on live stream, we hope you're joining us. Join us tomorrow as well, of course. That is when the big event starts tomorrow. We're just playing this afternoon. This is the Harewood Championship, but we've got the British Championship here, the first round that will actually likely to get completed, because we've had 2 aborted ones so far. They got abandoned because of rain. And I was at Shelsley Walsh last weekend and the weather was absolutely beautiful. Now I'm just noticing a marshal who's going for a little look. Very diligent, our marshals. They have to be diligent. They have to make sure there's no obstruction, no oil on the track. So when they have an incident, they go straight down with the fire extinguishers, make sure the driver's okay. That's the first priority. They all carry radios, so they're able to radio up the hill if they need assistance or further assistance. Yeah, so those are the marshals. I see them now. Yes, they're all down between the S's and Chippies where we just had the incident. In fact, they're coming back now. They must be hot there in their overalls today. If you fancy becoming a marshal, if you have a word with the boys and girls in orange when you see them come back, or you can see them when they're by their posts there, tell them you fancy becoming a marshal. Full training is given, and it's a lovely way of getting close to the action. Always need marshals, boys and girls, it doesn't matter. And if you're over 18, you can go trackside. You have to be over 18 to go trackside, but before that you can do loads and loads of other jobs that they'd be very pleased for you to do. A lot of paddock marshalling. Hello from Davy Koenig and Holly Ford from the Harewood Hill. Well, there you go, from the Harewood Hill. You must be on your phones as we speak. Hello from California, Phased Array. My goodness me, good afternoon, California. Like to be in California, a lovely place. Jake Bellaby is on the hill now. He's not in his OMS, he's in his Honda S2000 by the look of it, according to the live stream. So yes, he's in a different car actually. His OMS is not working this weekend, so he's brought another car. So by the sound of that, that's a Honda S2000. There's a very distinctive engine noise. There he is, approaching Farmhouse now. Michael Thompson, he locks the brakes up and he goes onto that gravel. Oh, it was all going so well, wasn't it? It was all going so well. Okay, Jake, very enthusiastic, Jake. Too enthusiastic. Will he be able to get out under his own steam? Another car's on the hill. He'll have a fail, so he'll have a rerun. So at the moment, the marshals are walking up there. They're having to earn their work this afternoon, aren't they? They're going to deserve a good drink later on. I don't think Harewood has a bar as such, does it? I don't know where they all go for a well-earned beer afterwards. I don't know. And of course, a lot of the marshals, a lot of the people here today will be staying here overnight, either in motorhomes or they'll have accommodation locally. But it is a big family, a hill climbing family actually. I've got an offer to stay at York again tonight. I was there last night, and I might slip back to York to stay there tonight. But I don't want to miss tomorrow. In case anything happened on the way here from York or driving home, you never know. I don't want to miss tomorrow, so I might decide to rough it tonight and sleep in my old Volvo. Yeah, I think it could be a Volvo night tonight. You can't miss a British round, can you? You can't say, oh, sorry chaps, I've broken down, I'm somewhere or other, I'm waiting for the AA. And although my car is great, all that matters is I'm here now. For me, that's it, I've made it. So tomorrow is another day. So I see the big blue truck approaching. It looks like they're going to get the tow rope out again. He'd probably gone into the gravel, because gravel traps being what they are, they're pretty effective at stopping you, but they're also quite effective at stopping you getting out as well, aren't they? So the blue truck's had a bit of action today, hasn't it? I remember last year, Stephen Darley's lad was driving the truck last year. I don't know whether this is a sponsored 4x4 or not, but he's reversing it now. He's going to put the big tow rope on it and they'll drag it out the gravel. Actually, when you're on the roads, there's a few places like Fish Hill near Evesham, where I live, over that way, where there's a gravel trap on Fish Hill, which is to stop people, and they haven't raked it or cleared it for goodness knows how long, and it's like the moon, like the craters of the moon now. Anyway, we've got a few cars going down to the start. In fact, we got a lot of cars waiting to go. So once they drag this little Honda out of there and drag it up the hill, we can get on with things again. Clouding up a bit now, isn't it, folks? Is it still warm out there today? I think it's warm. People seem to be wearing t-shirts and the like. I see sun hats. Doesn't it look good, doesn't it? I think I might take this opportunity to have a quick slurp myself of my orange juice today. I've got a big thing and it says, I love running. I don't love running. I don't love running at all. Too old for that game. When I'm done. Yeah, did any of you run in the London Marathon the other day? I was impressed. Oh, they've dragged the Honda out now anyway. So I'm going to turn off this microphone a second, because when you're slurping it all comes through the mic otherwise, so excuse me folks. Ah, Jim lad, that's better, isn't it? That's better. So they've dragged the Honda out. Oh, and because he's out, they've started the engine and he's going to drive up to the finish, so that'll save a bit of time. The blue recovery truck can go back to its safe position. So that was young Jake Bellaby, just got a little bit enthusiastic there going into farmhouse. Perhaps we bigged him up too much with his Honda S2000. Very quick car. Going up to Quarry now, he'll go back into the paddock. They'll just check the car has got no damage, but I don't think it has. I think it just went gently into the gravel, which did a very good job. Right, marshals are running back to the post. The recovery truck drives back down there, heading back towards Orchard. I don't quite know where it's going to be parked. We'll find out in a minute. And we will be back in action. Cars will be on the line. Okay, former Targle, Newfoundland and Marshall here. Love to Marshall Harewood, but 2,200 miles of ocean is a problem. Cheers from Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. Good vibes. Scott Sparks, well, good afternoon to you, sir. Well, you're always welcome. We have, my old friend Wayne has come all the way from Australia to drive here today. In fact, Wayne Penrose, Wayne Penrose is here. If you have a look at his lovely VW up in the paddock there, he's the man. He's come all the way from Australia. He's shipped the car over here. He's going to be doing several events. And so welcome to Wayne. He's brought himself a Beetle here that's got over 500 brake horsepower at the wheels, a turbocharged engine, 2.8 litre turbocharged engine, 500 plus at the wheels, dry sump oil system, all the business, Porsche fans, all that stuff. And he's up in the paddock now. and he runs Wayne Penrose VW Australia. So if you need to know anything to do with, well, VWs, Beetles, whatever, go and have a word with Wayne. He's a lovely fella. He's here with his wife. Good afternoon, watching from Malta, John Darmanin. Oh, sorry about the pronunciation. That's terrible, isn't it? Terrible. Zach Zammit. You know Zach Zammit there in Malta there? John Darmanin. Zach Zammit's one of our regular competitors, comes from Malta, drives a beautiful little Empire Evo, very rapid. I should think he's probably Maltese champion, I suspect. And I think his brothers also drive as well. Anyway, welcome to you. Marshals are back on post. Things will be happening very, very shortly. We'll be back in action. Yes, the sun is, well, going in a bit now, isn't it? But it's still warm. And trust me, after some of a rather cold spring, a very, very wet spring, it's good to see all the new growth on the trees, crops in the fields, because the farmers have had a terrible time this spring. They haven't been able to plant out because of waterlogged ground. And then sometimes the crops they'd already put in have been effectively ruined by all the water. So it can mean only one thing, of course, that prices are going to be jolly high. The crop yield's not going to be very good. Up in the paddock, I've got young Stephen Moore, a farmer who's racing the Evo 6 today. He was telling me, and in fact he sent me some pictures on WhatsApp the other day. He's got his peas planted, he's got his barley planted. It's all coming up now, so it's all looking good. So hopefully, Stephen, you can earn a few quid this year and everyone will be happy. Now, I saw something there has left the line, but whether it's a car or whether it's somebody inspecting the track, it is the recovery truck, I think, going back into position. That's what's happening. So that will be back into position very shortly. Safety is paramount, because when a car goes off, the track has to be inspected. Sometimes it has to be swept of any gravel that's been put on the track or anything that's fallen off the car, particularly oil, water, brake fluid, anything like that that can affect later runners. So that's looking good so far. That's been put back into a safe place and looking good. So we've got a load of cars waiting to go down here. In fact, they're waiting to start. So once we start, I think the action is going to be fast and furious. But at the moment, we're not quite there yet. But it won't be long. It won't be long. So I don't know if you've got any favourite cars here today. What do you think of these big bangers? We've been having a little practice before tomorrow. Tomorrow, when the championship starts tomorrow, I think the plan will be we're going to have all the big cars will have a practice run. And I think they will then have a timed run, which will determine the positions. The fastest 12 cars will qualify for the runoff, which may or may not be before lunch, depending on how well we go. But in the afternoon, if we haven't managed to run off in the morning, we will have 2 runoffs to determine British Championship points. At the moment, we don't have a leader in the British Championship because we've had two events that haven't taken place. So tomorrow will be effectively the first round of the British Championship. So Harewood is posting it, which is fantastic. We've got another round of the British Championships here later on in the year, which will also be live streamed by Richard on HillClimb.TV. So if you want to watch HillClimb.TV, if you've got smartphones and iPhones and the like, just go on YouTube, on HillClimb.TV, ping that name in, stuff will come up. It will show you events from last year. You can subscribe for free. I think we're up to about 11,000 odd so far. So we'd like to see more. So if you're coming in for the first time, like and subscribe would be great. And he's also doing a little thing where you can support the channel this year. You can pay a few bob, 99p a month, support the channel, which enables Rich to bring even more events to you. He does it basically on his own with his partner Ellie. That Peugeot 205 has been recovered now, the rally one. That's behind the back of the trailer. So they've decided to bring that up the hill now. Anyway, so you can subscribe and you can pay 99p a month. I'm born in the town that Wayne Penrose has his VW business. Well, there you are, Max 65. Well, I'd love to know more about Wayne's business. I'll find out more from him because he's going to be staying over here for a bit. Well, I think he is, because the car is going to apparently be parked at various VW dealerships around the country. So I dare say it's going to go on display. And then Wayne will then take it out whenever he's going to one of our events. Alex Hall, I'm watching from in the chute and listening to circuit commentary, stroke hashtag 42. Good afternoon to you, Alex. Well, isn't it exciting? Back live streaming, back watching the hill climbing in dry conditions, folks. We've had a pretty torrid start this year on other events I've been to. Lots of rain. The competitors must be absolutely loving it to actually get dry track, get back on slicks and do some proper testing. A lot of these folk will probably be on their first event of the year, so there will be a bit of ring rustiness. They'll be playing themselves in, seeing how things go. So I can see a lot of cars waiting to go. That means cars and drivers, some of these cars, well, they probably will switch the engines off, but racing cars, rally cars, stroke hill climb cars, enclosed cars can get incredibly hot. Single seaters, of course, they don't actually have radiators as such, so that they can't really afford to have them just sitting there with the engines running. And of course, sometimes they've got external batteries to fire them up, because you don't want to be having a massive, great big heavy battery in a very light single seaters. In these Goulds, these big Goulds with the big V8s, they're still incredibly light cars. In fact, even the big Goulds, they probably weigh not much more than about 500 kilos, which is incredibly, in fact, some lighter than that actually. The bike engine ones are very light. And obviously with our game, it pays to be small and not too heavy. Somebody like me who's quite large probably will even get into some of these cars, and that's not being polite, that's just a fact. They're very narrow. Your elbows would get in the way on the sides. Anyway, we're back in business, folks. Jeff Denton's on the hill in his MG-TF. This is a modern MG, and he's going to be followed by James Marfleet in the Mazda MX-5. I'm sure James was telling me this was his first event when I was chatting to him earlier. So yes, so Jeff Denton on the hill will be followed by James Marfleet. So Jeff Denton is car number 30, and car number 31, James Marfleet in the MX-5, will be following him. So we've still got quite a few to go through, folks. We're still quite early in these runs. So yes, James Marfleet is in his first event. And here comes, and just gone by me, was Jeff Denton in the MG-TF. Jeff Denton, he's from Bradford, so he's a local man. James Marfleet will be the next one we'll see as he comes into our view. He's in the open top MX-5 with the white helmet, and he'll be followed by George Tower in his ST Fiesta 150. And George, he's from Chinner in Buckinghamshire. I was chatting to him and his dad earlier. He's got a Duratec engine in the front of that one. They're rapid little cars, these, actually. And so, you know, they take some shaking off. If we were trying to nip along the country lane, something like this would really take some catching, actually. But anyway, he goes all over the country in this little car. He's been to Shelsley, Walsh and Prescott. Nice to see him out again. Jack Dinsdale in the little Clio RS200 car 33, the red one. Jake Dinsdale, yeah, the Clio, there's a profusion of French Hodge hatchbacks this afternoon, tin tops. This is a nice example. 2-litre 16 valve power, about 200 brake horsepower. Some nice toys on it. Nice car. It comes from Baildon. I think that's in Essex way, I think. Anyway, talking of that, we've got John Ward in his Mazda MX-5. He's just coming around Farmhouse now. A little twitch as he comes out of there. hood's down, puts the power down, heading up the straight towards Quarry Bend, towards the finish. And just looking at some of the times at the moment, the road cars, the production cars over 1400 to 2 litres. This morning we had David Marshall leading the way, 65.44, as Martin Watts in the Honda Civic just goes by us there. Nicely turned out car. Will be followed by Matthew Mellor in the Toyota MR2. And I'm just reading some times this afternoon. Times are down unless we haven't seen David Marshall. He was the best of the bunch this morning as Matthew Mellor comes into view in the Toyota MR2. Soft up on that one. Followed by Richard Greenwood in the Renault Twingo GT. So David Marshall did a 65.44 this morning. Shane Jowett did a 66.85, and this afternoon's runners, Matthew Mellor's just posted a 69.70 as Richard Greenwood comes into view in the Twingo, comes into Farmhouse. Pretty little things, the Twingo's like a small version of the Clio, smaller engines but quick all the same, very good little hot hatchback. There'll be then David Milnes following by in his Renault Clio RS200. He's going to be coming into our view shortly. I can hear a squeal of tyres. There he is now, yeah. He's down at Orchard at the moment, heading towards Farmhouse in the silver Clio. Will be followed by David Bamforth in the MG-TF. So I'm just looking at that. So Matthew Mellor's the quickest in this afternoon's batch here at 69.70, but David Marshall, who's still to come, did a 65.44 this morning. So they're hotting up, and it's all looking good. Nick Jaggard's on the hill as well in the Citroen Saxo, well down the hill at the moment, but just looking at that two-tone car there, that's David Bamforth of the MG-TF. Here he comes around Farmhouse. Two-tone car with the hood up there. Quite popular, the little MGs. Of course, they're rear engine, mid-engine car really. Quite awkward to get at the engine, I would imagine. The Rover K-Series engines in those. And then we'll be followed by Nick Jaggard in the Citroen Saxo VTS. Very much a bit of a boy racer's car back in the day, and now these are worth quite good money actually. So finding a good example of one of these that hasn't been raced or thrashed or rallied is probably quite hard to do. Anyway, so Nick Jaggard goes off to the finish. Let's see what he does, and he'll be followed by Ian Downey in another Clio, a 71.64 for Nick, which is an improvement this morning on this morning's time, as Ian Downey comes into view in the Clio 197. The 197 denotes the number of brake horsepower of the engine from that 2-litre engine. These later Clios were quite a bit bigger than the earlier 172s and 182s. So although the other ones had smaller, less horsepower, they were smaller and lighter. So obviously they made up for it then. James Izzard, Alexander Hall, in fact, you'll see in the MX-5. Here comes Alexander Hall, making nice progress, and he'll be followed by James Izzard in another Mazda MX. So we've got quite a decent clutch of cars in this class. Alexander Hall's coming in here now. Sorry, I'll take that back. That's James Izzard there. Car number. Oh, I'm getting confused. So James Izzard's in the MX-5. It's saying Honda S2. Yes, it is. Honda S2000 here of Charlie Deere. Very distinctive engine noise there. The Honda S2000 is very rapid indeed, and will be followed by Shane Jowett in a Honda Civic Type R. So still we've still got some of the quicker runners to come. So Charlie Deere has just gone up in a 67.81. So currently David Marshall still leading the way with a 65.44 from this morning. Here comes Shane Jowett, just going by us there now. Very distinctive Honda engine in that one, isn't it? A very distinctive sound. He's going up into Quarry now, approaching the finish. David Marshall will be approaching us shortly in his Peugeot 2:05. David Marshall, he's the competitor from Nottingham, and he's the one that was telling me earlier. I said to him, "Did you have to do much to the car over the winter?" And he said, "No, not really, but there was a bit of rot to deal with between the footwell and the bulkhead, so they tidied that up. Now got the old MIG welder out, put a bit of fresh metal in there. Car sounds really good, actually. So, David was leading that class this morning. What's he got for us this afternoon? So the little 205, has he got the bragging? We'll be seeing him. We won't be seeing him. I think he's had a problem. Okay, the stream is blanked at the moment. Steve Clay in the MX-5. I'm just looking to see what's happening. I can see that. Yeah, I can see the Mini slowly coming up the hill, but I don't know what's happened to the other car. So yeah, the marshals are busy at the moment. I think there may have been an incident down there at Orchard. So they will deal with all that, and we will get back into action as soon as we can. There's still lots of cars waiting to go. It is early season really, and obviously the track, I don't know what, I'd imagine it's in pretty good order at the moment, to be fair, but it's always better when there's been a couple of events to put a tyre rubber on the hill and give them a little bit more grip. Some of these cars will be running on more road type tyres, particularly the production cars. So we've got a red flag on the hill. There'll be a slight delay. So if you want to go and grab an ice cream or a drink, it's a golly good time to do it. The sun's gone in a bit now, so it's a bit cooler than it was. So all looking good so far. Okay. So what was I talking about earlier? Yes, I was talking about something or other. I was telling you about some of the hill records, wasn't I? So I wanted to mention, you see, at the moment, the hill record is held by Matthew Ryder in his Gould GR59. And he set a hill record of 56.39. And previous to that, Wallace Menges had the record at 46.86. And he had it the previous two times, actually. Then he had it before at 46.81. Trevor Willis was before that with a 48.29. And I'm just looking here. So back in 1992, Paul Rendell was racing Chevron B49. And the hill record then was 59.90. So you can see from 1992 to 2022, so that's 30 years, how the record has come down from 59.90 to 46.39. So that shows you the progress that's been made during that time, which is quite astounding, really. Also, looking back here, some lovely names here, actually. Chris Seaman in a Brabham BT30 did a 56.91 in 92. And then the marvellous Roy Lane in his Pilbeam MP58 in 1992 was a 53.28. Roy Lane was a fantastic driver. Sadly, no longer with us. But David Grace in 94 took his Pilbeam MP58. Pilbeams were the cars to have back then. The Pilbeam MP88, Roy Lane, David Grace and Andy Prio. Now Andy Prio, if I'm not mistaken, went on to do touring cars very successfully. And I think he still does that. And he was from the Channel Islands, if my memory suits me right. But then in 2003, there was a young man called Adam Fleetwood. Now, he came from Lancashire and he was driving a Gould GR55, which is, I think, the same car that Nicola Menges is driving today. I think she's in a 55. So the Gould GR55 started the long, well, since then, basically, apart from Trevor Willis, who broke the record and in 2018 in his OMS 28. So OMS, in fact, Trevor Willis has been the most successful OMS driver, actually. So Steve Owen would be very happy with that. Steve Owen is here today with his wife, Lynn, and he builds these fabulous little OMSs. You can get various models in that car. He can basically build you what you want. He's based locally, I believe, at York. I've not been to the factory, but a lot of his cars either run motorbike engines, which are very popular now, or they run small V8s. So we've got, okay, so there's the Honda S2000 driving up the hill. The recovery truck is behind it. So that's good that the car is able to drive up to the finish. I suspect he had a little incident into the gravel. He doesn't look like he's hit anything particularly because the car looks okay. So we should be back in action. But yeah, so yes, young Trevor Willis has been the most successful ever OMS driver, I believe. And then the Goulds, interestingly, Scott Moran held the hill record. Martin Groves held the hill record in 2010 with a 49.13. Scott Moran then broke the hill record 3 times in 2013, 2015 and 2016 in his Gould GR61, which was a very, very successful car, which he's still got actually, but it's probably in the back of Dad's rather decent sized garage. Anyway, so it just goes to show that since 1992, the hill record's gone from 59.90 down to 46.39. Is the hill record in danger tomorrow? Time will tell. Anyway, car has just left the line. Car 722, if I'm not mistaken. They're just showing the replay. Oh my days. Oh, you did have a moment there, didn't you? Goodness me. That little S2000 had quite a moment there at Orchard. It completely disappeared from view, but it seems to have gone into that gravel trap out the other side, and fortunately, it's okay. They were able to pull it out. But that was trying very, very hard indeed. Doug Mitchell's on the hill in the VW Up. The little Ups, these, am I right in saying these Ups have got little 3-cylinder engines in them? They're not very big, I don't think. They're very much a sort of car to go to the shops in, but just looking at it on the live stream, seems to handle very well. Very popular now, these little cars. And in these economic times that we're suffering, here it comes now around Farmhouse, the little Up. Ryan Billington's also on the hill in his Peugeot 205. So, in this class, in the road cars up to 1400, Adam Riley's leading the way with a 66.17. Oh. Big squeal of tyres with the little 205 round Farmhouse, powering up the straight. This is the little rally version, the 1300cc version of Ryan Billington. And he will be followed by Michael Thompson in the very brightly coloured yellow and green Lotus XE. He's a class record holder, Michael. Very rapid driver. I think he comes from Worksop. Anyway, there goes the Lotus XEs of Michael. He had a very successful Honda S2000 before this one. And his wife Zoe is with him today driving. And Anthony Shearman, who drives a Westfield or a Caterham, that's her dad. Anyway, here comes Laura Wardle. Laura Wardle's with Jonathan Williamson. They've been campaigning this gorgeous 911 air-cooled Porsche for years and years and years. And this winter, Jonathan was telling me, it finally had an engine rebuild after 30 years. So I think they've done all right with that car, haven't they? But it's a 3.5 litre engine, normally aspirated now. Looks the part, sounds amazing. And Laura will be enjoying driving that car up the hill now. She'll be followed by Mick Wilkes in the Polo GTI. Now this is a quick thing. If I remember rightly, this was a turbocharged car. Let me have a look at my little sheet. Very quick, over 200 horsepower, front wheel drive. Sounds absolutely great, doesn't it? Mick Wilkes, car number 52, the Polo GTI. Yes, it is. It's a 1781 turbocharged with an LSD in it, so it's got all the right bits. He comes from near Oldham, so he's relatively local. Oh, and this looks like a big old Porsche there of Richard Andrews, the 718 GT4 Porsche, the grey one. Got to love a Porsche. They sound great. They're terrific. These are the later model Porsches which have water-cooled engines, and I think the first ones were 1998. The first water-cooled Porsches were the 966s, and now that's all they do. They don't make air-cooled ones anymore. So hence the 911s or the air-cooled engines are worth a blooming fortune. Jim Howarth in the Cooper S. Here he comes in the modern Cooper S. I say modern, they've been around a while now. These replace the older Minis, obviously, but you can see they're substantially bigger cars. They've essentially got BMW engines in them, so they're pretty rapid little weapons. They're very nice indeed. And he's going up to the finish now, just looking at the times. So Mark Lawrence went up the hill in 64.99. This was in the production cars over 2 litre. Robbie Birrell's still yet to come, and he was very quick. And Carl Jackson was the quickest this morning in the he was driving that S2000, that Honda S2000, so we've still got to see him. So Chris Donaldson will be approaching us soon in the Rover Mini. Will be followed then by David Taylor in the Porsche Cayman R. So here comes the Mini. I can see it down there at Orchard as it approaches Farmhouse. Two-tone colour scheme, very pretty little car, isn't it? Got to love a Mini. And they're so successful still, they can still be made to go very quick.
849, all drivers of cars in batch 3, if you could be in your cars to be ready when called forward, please. Thank you.
Right, they've just made their announcement for the Paddock. So just looking at the road cars, Carl Jackson, Mark Lawrence has just gone up in a 64.99. This is the car's over 2 litre. Carl Jackson was the quickest this morning with a 63.72. As Andy Bateson approaches us in the MR2 Turbo into Farmhouse now. The MR2s have been a very big selling car for Toyota. They're still lovely little car to have them, and the MX-5 very massive sellers, aren't they, both of those? Now I see further down approaching Orchard is Pasquale Abruzzese, and he's driving the BMW M3 3.2 Evo. That is one beast of a car. It sounds absolutely fantastic. Here he comes down to Farmhouse, coming round Farmhouse. You listen to this engine note as he comes out of Farmhouse, puts the power down in the BMW. Sounds great. That big 6-cylinder motor in that. Beautiful, beautiful. Well done, Pasquale. So Mark Lawrence 64.99, still chasing Carl Jackson 63.72. Here comes the Lotus Talbot Lotus Sunbeam, Carl Jackson of Terry Deer. Beautiful. Already approaching the finish. He's really getting it sideways going into the finish there under hard braking, trying really hard. Here comes the S2000 of Carl Jackson. Carl Jackson was very rapid this morning, leading the class. What's he got for us this afternoon? That S2000 engine is an absolute beast of a unit. Heading into Quarry Corner, going up towards the finish. Carl Jackson's got to beat his 63.72 he did this morning. He does a 63.76 this afternoon as Robbie Birrell approaches in the Cayman. This is the 4-cylinder version. He's got about 500 horsepower in this car. He is a brilliant driver too. He was runner-up on the Isle of Man HillClimb last weekend. Did fantastically well trying to race against radicals, and Here comes Chris Beresford from London in the Subaru Impreza. This grey example has been engine built by Stephen Darley, who is a Subaru wizard. Listen to that one. Look at him go. Look at him go. That is one very, very rapid car. He was on the hill climb in the Manx as well. Approaches the finish. What's he going to do? He's on his own in the class. Look, this morning he did a 62.86. And this afternoon, not seen a time for him. He's over the finish. Something happened to him over the finish. The marshals are walking up there and begin to think he's lost it over the finish. This morning he did a 62.86. He was the only one in his class, which is the over 2000s four-wheel drive road cars. Very, very rapid car, that one. So it's all hotting up, isn't it? So we've still got not many cars down at the start line now, but I get a few more going. I see that looks like Zoe Sherman going down there now in the S2000, in the Lotus Exige. Yeah, some more Minis, Elises. So we've still got plenty of hill climbing for you folks. I'm just going to take this out. I see that we've got on the line, we've got a couple of very rapid Westfield Caterhams. They'll be the next ones off. So I think Chris had a moment over the finish line, and we know that if you walk up there, you'll see that it's a very sharp corner, quarry corner, going in towards the finish. And it's very easy to get too exuberant there, and perhaps Chris got a bit exuberant, because I did see the marshals walking up there and we haven't seen the time. Oh, George Orwell, 1984, says, I'd like to live in that house and watch from the garden. Well, I don't know which one you're watching from, which garden you're on about, but anyway. Well, I've got a pretty good view from here. The commentary box at Harewood's incredible. You can virtually see the whole hill. And when Rich is running the live stream, you can see most of it around there, except finally the finish at Quarry, where there doesn't seem to be a camera. Whether there will be tomorrow, I don't know. Anyway, I see a car on the hill, which is great. We've got Graham Briggs in, well, it's saying the Ford Puma, but it's not the Puma. It's definitely a Westfield type car. Here comes young Graham. A lot of these run 1600 engines. Ford Sigma engines. In fact, here he comes now. Yeah, this is a closely contested class. Very nice indeed. And he'll be followed by John Calvert in his F27. So a lot of these are kit cars. If you're really lucky, you'll have a Caterham, which will be built out of aluminium, whereas the Westfields were mostly built out of fiberglass. And he locks up going into farmhouse, big squeal of tyres, puts the power down, coming out of there, heading up the straight. That one's a little bit more unusual looking, that one, to be fair. That's definitely a bit different. And he'll be followed by Philip Saxton in the Westfield, the wide-bodied Westfield. So just looking at these times, the kit car replica times, Henry Morehouse was the quickest this morning with a 61.46. And he was well ahead of the pack, actually. We haven't seen Henry. He's on the hill now, though, and he'll be followed by John Bransfield, will be the next one we'll see. Here comes John Bransfield in his Caterham 7 Supersport. So the Caterham, this is the posh one. This has got the aluminium bodywork on it. Obviously a lot more money than the Westfields. The Westfields went out of business, but I believe they're back in business. They were bought by a Russian owner, I think. Anyway, so John heads up towards the finish. What sort of time is he? He's going to do a 66.84 for John. That's a little bit slower than this morning. As a very rapid Henry Morehouse. Yes, Henry's in the Westfield, but Henry's got the Honda engine in it, and he was comfortably, in fact, he's just finished in a 61.56. So at the moment, he's about 3.5 seconds quicker than the rest of those closely contested cars. Steve Markham just going by us in the Lotus Elise. He's in the road car Lotus Elise and other non-ferrous chassis construction cars up to and including 1800cc. Did a 65.71 this morning. Here comes David Leach in the Lotus Elise S1. Here he comes now. Is it a black one? Very nicely turned out little car, that one. So David Leach did a... Going off towards the finish now. David, what time we got for you? 66.27 for David Leach. Well done, that man. But slower than this morning, so maybe the track is slower, or they're not going so quick. I don't know. Here comes James Edmondson in the Ford Escort Mark II. White example. Always nice to see an Escort. I'm not sure what engine he was running in that one. Oh, hang on. That was the rally car I was looking at earlier. That was 822. As Morgenhamer in the OMS, the 600cc motorbike engine OMS has just gone up. He's in his first main competition event. He will be followed by Will Kerr in that glorious 750 bike engine turbocharged car, the little OMS 28, very rapid indeed. He'll be have something to say. Another very quick runner in the class will be Jonathan Flesher. He'll be the next one we'll see here. We've got a few quick single-seaters on the hill now. So here comes young Jonathan. Now, his son Dylan, I don't know if he's here today, but Jonathan, if I remember rightly, is he's a dental technician from Harrogate, I think. And Dylan Flesher, his son, is a very quick driver, but I can't see him here today. Stephen Morgan will be following. And so Jonathan, he's set a time of 54.53, which is a little bit slower than earlier. That is Stephen Morgan, Tom Morgan's dad, with the black helmet. And that beautiful little Empire. The Empire Evos, they're made by Bill Chaplin down in Somerset near Taunton. He generally makes 3 or 4 cars a year, but when I was speaking to him last year, he's always also running other cars. Zach Zammit is one of his works drivers, drives beautiful Empire. The orange one comes from Malta. As Robin Wood approaches us in the Force PT, Robin's quick driver. The car looks great. This is his first run out since about October last year, I think. Probably finished at Lowton, I think it was October we finished last year. And he will be followed by Richard Weaver in the Empire Evo 2 that his son Tom will be driving in a bit. And in fact, I can see him there now down at Orchard. Richard is part of the Weaver dynasty, the head man. He's the father. He's probably here with his wife Helen and Tom and Lizzie Weaver. I don't know if she's with them today. Yes, she's probably here. Lizzie will be here because I think Alex Coles is here. So there's a good chance Lizzie will be here as well. So there you go. Bit of insider goss there, folks. Max Campbell on the hill in his Vauxhall VX220. This is the blue one you can see down at Orchard now, just down below us now, approaching Farmhouse in blue. And he told me that he had flecks in it and he did a wrap on this, and he said it was the cheapest way of sort of painting it. He said don't look too closely, but it looks all right, doesn't it? It looks fine, it looks fine. Quick car too. Vauxhall engine, 16 valve engine in that, very rapid bit of kit. Looking in the road cars, the Lotus Elises and cars over 1800, so Pete Vincent's leading the way with a 63.58 from Michael Thompson with a 65.79 as Zoe Shearman goes by in the Lotus Exige. What can she do? Michael is, I'm surprised that Pete's doing very well to head off Michael Thompson at the moment. Zoe finishes in a 70.89 with Max Campbell a 73.58 as Pete Vincent goes by us. Sorry, Pete Vincent goes by us in a Vauxhall 220. I wasn't watching then, I was watching the screen, so my apologies if I got that bit wrong. Anyway, what I do see is David Spall approaching Farmhouse in a beautifully turned out two-tone Mini. Look at this one. Absolute picture, that one, isn't it? Love that. That is best turned out Mini of the day for me. Absolutely love that. And he's in a very good little class of Minis. There's 3 of them racing in that little class. Here's the second one, Jonathan North in his Mini Cooper. Jonathan made me laugh this morning. He told me he just changed the spark plugs, but he didn't change them. He just gave them a clean. He says couldn't afford a new set, obviously. So he suggested he went down to the Auto Jumble and see if he could find a few. And I think all the competitors, we all said I'd put a quid in towards the new spark plug for next season. Anyway, so crowdfunding for him. Paul Buscher in the little Mini approaching us now, the two-tone grey and white one. Mark III Mini. Sounds like proper A-Series sound, isn't it? Great, love that engine. Straight cut gears, fantastic. So at the moment, Paul Buscher just leading the way in that class with a 66.69 this morning. The boys aren't close to him this afternoon, so he's going to go through the finish line any moment now in a 66.61. So that's an improvement. Then Jonathan North did a 67.18 and David Spall a 72.56. So there we go. Here we go. We've got some modified cars. We've got some quick stuff now. James Partridge in the 106 GTI Peugeot. That's got a very powerful engine in that. He's his first visit to Harewood, I think. Doing very nicely. Robert Needham's coming up the hill in his Ford Escort Mark 1 car 101. And I was just looking down here at those. And car 101. Yeah, this one here, the Needham car, as you see, this one's running a Pinto, 2-litre Pinto engine on twin 48 carburetors, but he is up at some serious competition because Derek Jones will be following him at car 102, and he's in Escort Mark 1, but he's got a Cosworth engine in that one. So that Mark 1, they never ran Cosworths back in the day, but this is run with a Cosworth engine in it, and that's got an awful lot of engine in it. Sounds terrific. And that car is a pretty elderly car, isn't it? Lovely. He's from Saltburn as well. He'll be followed by Amy Jenkins in a Renault Clio. And just looking at the time, the quickest in this class by the modified cars is Stuart Stelling in his Mark II Escort, followed by Ralph Pinder, very good mate, in his Peugeot Turbo 5, and Derek Jones. And anyway, there goes Amy Jenkins in the Renault Clio, making her way up to Quarry, making very nice progress there. Nicely turned out car. And we'll be followed by Adam Warren, car 104, in another lovely, beautifully turned out, well, it looks like an RS 2000 Escort to look at with the colour scheme. But that particular one of Adam Warren, that one is running 104. He's got a Cosworth in that one too. So there's 2 Cosworth Escorts here. Here's Ralph Pinder. Ralph, long-time servant of the hill, done tons in the Midland Hill climbs as well. Very, very light Peugeot 205. They have to run an 8-valve block on the bottom, but it's got a 16-valve head on that one. Runs very well indeed. Heading up towards Quarry. Ralph round Quarry, second in the class this morning to Stuart Stelling, who's really trying. Stuart, here comes Stuart in the Mark II Escort. He's sometimes on 2 wheels round here. He's nicely round there, listening. That's a remarkable Escort there. He drives it so well. He's in the car preparation business. He certainly knows how to prepare them. Goodness me, yeah. Is he going to get the bragging rights? He's looking, oh yes, he is. He's at the moment, he's at 65.17. He's several seconds quicker than Ralph this afternoon. So Stuart is definitely the pick of the class there at the moment. Here comes my friend Jeff Twemlow, travelled all the way from Cornwall, and he has a few health issues to deal with, and he was telling me he had the COVID jab, so he hasn't been feeling particularly great. But anyway, he's got his car's had a rebuilt engine this winter, so it's going very nicely. The engine was getting a bit tired out, so again, Stephen Darley He's the man to rebuild these Subarus. Jonathan Williamson, here he comes in his 911 Carrera Porsche. Been campaigning this car for absolutely years and years. If it was a car I wanted to take home today, I think that one will probably be up there. Original 911, beautiful. 911 Carrera, normally aspirated, 3.5 litre, 6-cylinder, flat air-cooled engine. What's not to like about that? Now here's one, the next one you'll see is going to be Tony Booth in a Mitsubishi Evo 8. Here he comes now. Don't see many Evo 8s, and he will be followed by farmer Stephen Moore in his Evo 6. Stephen Moore from Salisbury has got 3 of these Evos, and this is his middle one basically. This one's still got over 600 brake horsepower, 4-wheel drive, permanent, lightened out, very well modified car. Powers it away there. Stephen Moore's leading the car comfortably this morning with a 61.83 as Tony Booth finishes in 70.18, Jonathan Williamson a 66.05 and a 60.98 for Stephen Moore. So he's going to win that class in that Evo. Here comes Anthony Middleton in the Westfield. Very well sorted Westfield, this one. My goodness me, he'll be in a close battle with Simon Green in another Westfield Duratec. This one's got a spoiler on the back. It's always Nip and Tuck who gets the bragging rights. And this one, this morning, it was Anthony Middleton, 59.04, 60.19 this afternoon. Here comes Simon Green, one of our event sponsors. He's got a Subaru dealership amongst other things. Here comes Simon. Can he beat his friend Anthony Middleton? He needs to go under 59.04 and he doesn't do it, but he does a 59.58, which is just a fraction slower than he did this morning. Nip and tuck there. There'll be nip and tuck all season, those two, without a doubt, without a doubt. Now we seem to have a little batch of Formula Fords. Here comes Paul Gumbley in his Swift. SC, it denotes 93, built in 93. Lots of manufacturers of Formula Ford cars, all running on basically the same tyres. They're all running the same engines. The Ford Kent engine, a 1600 engine. They all run a single carburettor on them. Very even class. This morning, Rob Spedding was the quickest with 61.91. And Richard Abbey will be followed by Paul Harris in the Van Diemen. I think I spent too much time watching the screen there, so I probably missed him. But anyway, yeah, here comes Paul Harris in the Van Diemen. In the RF85, lovely little car. These are pure little racing cars that haven't got too much sophistication on them. This class is very well contested. There's really not much difference between the two, so the better drivers will definitely show through here. So at the moment, Rod Spedding is leading that class, and Richard Abbey has just posted a super 63.86. Well done indeed. Lots of cars going down to the start still, and now here comes one of the big bangers. This is Nicola Menges in the ex-Martin Groves Gould, the GR55B. Cosworth Power in the back of it, our ladies record holder up this hill. So well done, Nicola. Very good driver indeed. Husband Wallace is not here today. He's getting ready for when the car is ready. It may get rebuilt for Gersten. I don't know, but that sounded like the Firestorm to me. It was Alex Summers. Here comes Alex Summers. He could win the championship this year, this lad. He's a brilliant driver. He built the PT4 as well. The engine noise on that sounds incredible. He'll be saving himself for tomorrow. He'll be getting up the hill, just learning a few things about the car. This is probably the first time it's been driven. Well, I did drive it last week, yeah. So I was talking to Andy Smith earlier. They didn't have to do a whole lot to the car over the winter. They had to change the starter motor, but on one of those, it's about a 10-12 hour job. So this looks remarkably like the man Sean Gould. See the black helmet, builds these magnificent Goulds. He's still a very quick peddler of racing cars, and he builds the best racing cars for hill climbing in the country. Okay, Sean Gould off to the finish. Matthew Ryder was the quickest this morning, 49.63. Sean just did a 51.78. We've got Paul S. Edmondson in an Escort Mark II. Nicely turned out car. He's down the hill down by Country at the moment, heading up towards Willow. Here he comes now, round Orchard. This is a nicely turned out car, isn't it, really? If you look at this one, he's got beautiful blue mud flaps on it, white, big arches. I think this was the rally car, Paul Edmondson car, 122. 122, yes, it's got a 2-litre Z-Tech engine in that one. And they come from York, and it's on injection. It's got about 190 brake horsepower, so that's enough to get you up the hill pretty quickly. At the moment, John Prickett in the Sports Libra class, up to 2 litre, is leading the way with a 57.22. We've got some rather tasty little Radicals about to come up the hill now. Radicals are proper little built racing cars. Radicals, they just look right, and these particular examples have all got motorbike engines, Suzuki Hayabusa engines in the back. They vary. Some of them, well, we'll get to in a minute, have got up to 280 brake horsepower. There you go. You've got to seek permission to get out, so don't leave the circuit unless you've got permission. They're just doing a little replay here on the live stream. Oh, the Talbot Sunbeam. Oh my days, he was really Matthew Price was really travelling there, going up in towards Quarry. Anyway, as we speak, Matthew Price is in the Radical SR3. Here he comes now. He's left the line. Matthew Price's car. He's very rapid indeed. Car 124. He's got a 280 brake horsepower motorbike engine in that one. It's built by RLM Racing, and it's a 1600 Hayabusa. He comes from Halesowen. He was very rapid when I last saw him. I think I saw him at Shelsley. He said I was nice to him on commentary, so yeah, he's a nice chap. Give him a clap. Here he comes. Look at that. Listen to that engine. Proper little thing, isn't it? That's what they say at Matthews. It's a proper little thing, isn't it? It is a proper little thing as he heads up towards Quarry. Oh, I think he might have spun it. Did I speak too soon? Anyway, he'll be followed by David Bickley in his Radical. David is the dad of Stuart Bickley, who's racing that very, very lovely little Force, the bright fluorescent one. Yeah, so he's been red flagged. I did see the previous runner look like he was having a moment coming out of Quarry. I think he might have spun it. It's very tricky because they're trying to get the power down around a sharp bend there and off up through to the finish, which comes very, very soon afterwards. Oh, I do see my Australian chum Wayne Penrose down on the start line. So we'll have a look out for this one. I'll bring him in a minute. So yeah, so flagged is David Bickley and John Prickett in the Radicals, so they'll get a rerun. So looking like the next car we'll see will be Wayne Penrose, who's come all the way from Aussie. Give him a wave, folks, when you see him in this Beetle, this highly modified Beetle. He's a lovely chap. He runs a big VW business, Wayne Penrose VW Australia. We had somebody on the live stream earlier that said he was born in the same town as Wayne. He's over here with his wife. He bought this car. It's purchased in 2010 as an incomplete car, but it's been totally rebuilt and converted to a turbocharged VW engine with over 500. I try to shut up when Adam is on the airwaves there, talking very important stuff. But I don't always hear her straight away when I'm gabbling away, so my bad. Anyway, yeah, Wayne Penrose, he's left the line. Here comes young Wayne. Yeah, he's on his way down to Clark's as we speak. So, you can hear it down there in the distance, can't we? It's a serious bit of kit. Rather than bore you with loads of technical details, just have a little listen to him. When you see him come by, give him a wave. He'd love that, because he's come all the way from Australia to race. Unbelievable. We're here with his wife. He's here for the summer to do at least 4 events, I think. The car will go to various VW dealerships. It'll be the first time he's ever seen the hill to drive the hill. Oh, hang on. What's happening here, Wayne? Going quite slowly. Has he got a technical hitch? What is going on? Oh, we do so want to see Wayne. He's still going. He's still going. I don't know what's going on. Oh, the car is backfiring. It's not happy. It's not happy. It's come from down under, so that's probably the reason, isn't it, eh? Come on, young Wayne. Let's get this old VW up the hill for us. Give him a wave, folks. And Wayne Penrose, give him a wave all the way from Australia. Come on, Wayne. We love you, boy. Go for it. He's got a poorly car, I think. He'll get that sorted out, though, without a doubt. Fantastic. Somebody takes the trouble to ship it from Australia. There's no point just doing it for one event. And something else a bit special here. Here comes the Morris Minor, Stephen Rushworth, with his Nissan 3-litre Nissan engine in the front of that, a V6 engine with automatic gearbox. He had, what did he have in it last year? Something smaller. All I know, he's managed to get that monster engine into it over the winter. Stephen Rushworth. So Duncan Barnes in the Norma. Very, very quick car, the Norma. That's the car to have on European hill climbs. 500 odd horsepower of Honda power, turbocharged. Very big, wide car. Very hard to get round hairpins, he was telling me. Anyway, Duncan is in a class of 3 in the Sports Libra. He will win that class, 55.90. He did. And now we're into the racing cars up to 1100cc. Now this is always very, very hotly contested. Gary Warren on the hill. He comes from Scotland. He's a very rapid driver. He's going to contest the British HillClimb Championship. Here comes Gary in his Empire Evo. Quick driver, did well this morning. He's in as hot a class as you can get. He was 6th this morning with a 54.32. Is he going to improve on that this afternoon? Goes through to the finish in a 54.28. Yes, he does. The quickest this morning was Stuart Bickley with a 52.28. Here comes Nigel Pitt in his OMS. Shoestring Racing from Bromyard down in Worcestershire. He's here with his partner Claire. Forgive me, Claire, I didn't know if you were married or not, so I won't say you are or you're not. Anyway, so Nigel's here, going very well indeed. Always, I spoke too soon. Archie Kerr has just had a spin in the OMS Hornet, so he was trying hard, young Archie, in his first event in this car. This was the car that got bought, this brand new actually. It was sitting around in the OMS workshop and they had a deal, and so he's racing this. Archie is son of Will, I believe, and he's only about 18 years old, but he sat in his car. The marshals are walking down. He had a spin onto the grass. I don't think there's any drama. The marshals are pushing him now. Is he going to fire it up and get going? He's got back onto the tarmac. And if you don't spin them, sometimes you're not trying hard enough. And many a good racing driver has said that. But we have what we have got. We've got the Orange Army going down the brushes. They're taking fire extinguishers, but they're just having a quick word with him. Check he's all okay. I think he's just had a bit of damage to his Pride. I don't think there's any damage to the car. But this little OMS, it runs a 600cc motorbike engine in the back. And in fairness, there's not many 600cc cars around now. There was a very popular class at one time, but most people have gone up the class and put 1100s or 1098. And most of them run Suzuki GSXR motorbike engines, which are in fairly decent supply, I believe. And in the back of one of these small, lightweight single-seaters goes extremely well. But in the 600 class, there's more than enough power there for him to enjoy himself. So I'm just looking at what he's doing. I'm seeing it on the live screen. Is he proceeding? He's proceeding. Where is he proceeding to? Phil Steele, good to see Wayne over here. Hope his problem is minor. Well, it just sounded like the engine was misfiring. So he has come from Australia, so he has been upside down and now he's over here. So let's hope we can get that sorted quite quick. Good to see, yes. Indeed. So the marshals, if you fancy becoming a marshal, in fact, I see young Kerr is on his way up the hill. He's going to drive up towards the finish. Now we'll get him coming into our view before too long. He'll go off up to the finish, so just check everything's fine. Here he comes now. Yeah, no obvious damage on the car. Can't see any spoiler damage, which can be a problem. I think he just literally spun it into the long grass, because the grass is quite long here at the moment, so the grass will be quite cushioning and slowing you down. So yes, young Wayne, I'm sure he'll get it sorted. He's a very experienced man. He knows his way around motor cars, and he's told me anyway he's got VW dealerships. He can probably pop it in there and pop it on a ramp and get it sorted out. I think he's here both days actually, which is great. So fantastic. Now I see other single-seaters down on the line getting ready to go. I can see what looks like young Tom Morgan there with that bright helmet. I'm sure that's young Tom in his blue Empire. And is that young Flesher? Car 46. Let's have a look. Just going to change my glasses to put the short-sighted ones on. Change them from the long-sighted ones. Okay, we'll find out very shortly. Car 146, 146, bum 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 bum. 146. Tim Thompson. Yeah, it looks like Tim Thompson on the line in his OMS 28. Again, we're in the 1100 class. He's from Harrogate. He leaves the line. Very hotly contested class, this one. As I say, back a few years, 2 or 3 years, the quickest one in this class was Robert Kenrick in his little Predator. He's currently retired, Robert. He was setting hill records everywhere he went in his class, and he's still really not been overhauled, but he's got some young hotshots there now, young Stuart Bickley and the like. Kenrick's car actually had a BMW motorcycle Grand Prix engine in the back of it. 1024 I think it was, or 1070 perhaps. Here comes Tim Thompson. Puts the power down now. Going through the gears. See how quickly they're through the gears. It's incredible, isn't it? So quick through the gears. 88 through the speed trap, up to the finish. Young Tom Morgan in the Empire Evo 3. Brand new car last year, great colour scheme, very talented young driver. Getting quicker and quicker, and Tom, I think he's only about 18, 19. I think it was last year we announced his birthday, one of the race days. Can't miss his helmet, can you? Got his bike. Yeah, lovely little car, good driver, finishing off there. Tom Morgan was 4th this morning with a 53.62. What's he going to do this afternoon? There's a 53.37, that's quicker. Still leading the class is Stuart Bickley with a 52.28. John Prickett on the hill in this very rapid Radical. He had a failed run last time, if I remember rightly. Car 126. Okay, here comes John Prickett. This is a 1340 Hayabusa supercharged. Listen to that one. That is flying up that straight. That is a very, very rapid car. John Prickett was leading the class this morning, 57.22. He had a flag. So he's done 58.60 this afternoon, so not quite so quick. He'll be followed by Anthony Wood in his Force PT. Here he comes now into Farmhouse. Looking good so far, and Stuart Bickley has just left the line as well in his Force. Okay, so here comes Anthony Wood. What can he do? Anthony this morning was a 58.44. He's heading up towards the finish. He finishes in a 57.01, so that's a second and a half quicker nearly, so that's a good improvement. As Stuart Bickley is absolutely flying. Is he the only one on the hill? I think he might be at the moment. Here he comes, look, the fluorescent force. May the force go with you. Here he comes, look, coming into Farmhouse. What's he got for us this afternoon? Go, go, go. Very rapid now. Unless he's registered for the championship, he won't necessarily try too hard. Tomorrow's the day it really matters. He'll get into the finish. He's going to finish in a time of 52.92. So yeah, he's left a few beans in the can for this run. Okay, young Tom Weaver from Ludlow, the Ludlow Massive. Here he, oh, you devil, he nearly spun it then, coming in Orchard, and he comes into Farmhouse. Oh, he's trying hard, look at that, sideways out of there, up the straight. Young Tom Weaver's putting down a marker. Can he beat Stuart Bickley on his times? Yeah, he's got him, yeah, I think he's got round the top there. He's going to head into the finish. Tom Weaver finishes in, come on young Tom, where's your time? Don't tell me you oh yes he has, 52.39, so he's just a fraction slower than Stuart's time from this morning, but that's not much. Young David Tatham, tomorrow is their big day for them. He was runner-up in the Harewood Championship last year. Farmer from Moulton, amongst other things. His brother David, his brother Pete Tatham's not here today. He's having a weekend off. David's off up to the finish now. He'll be going plenty quick, but he won't go ruining the car for tomorrow. Over the line, 53.25, a bit quicker, 10th quicker than this morning, or earlier today. And so at the moment, Stuart Bickley, 52.28 is leading that class. Now, we still have plenty of cars to go down there. There's some big single-seaters, obviously. So David Bickley, very rapid. We've got Ben Hamer on the hill in the little OMS 28. I think that young Ben, that's 78 mile an hour. Going to finish in a time of 56.69 for Ben, as David Bickley is on the hill in the Radical, and here he comes approaching Orchard, heading up towards Farmhouse. Here he comes into our view now. David Bickley is in the slower of the Radicals. He hasn't got too many. It's a 1300 standard higher booster in the back of that one, so you wouldn't expect him to keep up with the 280 brake horsepower of some of the other models. But anyway, he's enjoying his racing, watching his son, who's got a very good chance of winning his class tomorrow. So David's just finishing now. He's third in that class of the Radicals. John Prickett's leading the way in that very, very rapid Radical, the 57.22. And here comes the glorious Ferrari Dino, who won Atwood. Absolute history car, worth a blooming fortune. He's not going to be doing anything silly by putting this into the scenery. I won't tell you the value of the car, but I can tell you it's into lots and lots and lots. Hard to value too, but there's also another collection of, I think, there's more Ferraris at home, but they brought this one out today. This one's been extensively rebuilt, beautifully turned out. Ferrari Dino was named after the son Dino, and that is a beautifully turned out thing, isn't it? Yep, would like to take that one home. On the hill we've got Rebecca Crocombe in a Van Diemen RF84. We've got a couple of Formula Fords. Here comes Becky Crocombe, here she comes. Lady competitor, travels up from the West Country, I think. Often competes at Gurston and Wiscombe. I'll shut up while Lizzie's talking.
That you are scrutineered and then sign on in the morning. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so we're back in the game. Yeah, Becky Crocombe has just gone through the finish, and Sam Gumbley's on his way up towards the finish will be followed by Andrew Abbey in his J-Man. So, here comes Andrew Abbey approaching us now. Right. 5.7. That was Andrew Abbey. Yep, he's approaching the finish. Just looking at the fastest times was Rob Spedding this morning. I think he's the brother of Richard Spedding, isn't he? I haven't seen young Richard this year, but he's one of our very quick hill climb competitors in the British Championship. I don't know if Rob's doing the championship this year. I'm not sure. Anyway, Carolyn Ryder's on the hill as well. She's going to have a really good dice with Sarah Bosworth. There goes Carolyn there, just going by us now, and she'll be followed by Sarah Bosworth. So what sort of time has Carolyn got for us this afternoon? She did a 66.09 this morning. Can she beat that? She does a 64.75. There's a big improvement there. Sarah Bosworth, here comes young Sarah. She's got a hairdressing business in Sheffield, and she loves her hill climbing, been doing it for many years, and has held class records. Very quick driver indeed, loves the Formula 4. She's in this little Van Diemen RF80 up 5. Can she beat Carolyn Ryder this afternoon? She's got to do a 64.75, and she... not giving me a time. She's got to a 63.66 for Sarah Bosworth, second in class. As Jimmy Harris comes by us in the Van Diemen, and Rob Spedding will follow. So good for Sarah. She's second in the class. She's only second and a half down on Rob Spedding from this morning. So she's definitely getting to grips with that. She's a regular competitor here. My phone's pinging away, excuse that, I hope you can't hear that. Anyway, Jimmy Harris, a 63.46. Rob Spedding. Here comes Rob coming into Farmhouse. Yeah, nice line through there, looking very quick indeed. So, Jimmy Harris done a 63.46 to take him second in the class at the moment. And here comes Rob Spedding up towards the finish. At the moment, he's comfortably ahead in the class. So what's he going to do for us this afternoon? 61.94. A little bit closer than earlier. 3/10 down, nothing. Still wins that class there comfortably. Well done, Rob Spedding. Second, Jimmy Harris. In the racing cars, 1100 to 1600. First, Andy Greenan, 53.15. So Andy Greenan is leading the class, but he has he left the line? It says, go Orange Army, anyone interested should search for MS UK, how to become a marshal. Thank you for that, David Patrick. Better information than I gave out. It looks like there's a red flag for Andy Greenan. For what reason, I don't know. Yes, MS UK, Motorsports UK, how to become a marshal. It's a fabulous job, you know, because actually you get really close to the action. It's usually free entry. There's some places they even give you a bit of grub. It may be a free drink, and you'll get wine. You'll get wine. You'll get water brought out on the hill for you for hot days. Perhaps we should give everyone no ideas there. No, but anyway, yes. So we got a red flag for Andy Greenan. Don't know what happened there. But yeah, great information about becoming a marshal, MS UK, or if you see somebody in orange up in the paddock afterwards, go and have a word, and I'm sure they can point you in the right direction as well. So I think we're approaching the end, but we've still got plenty more cars to come. The sun has come out again. That's great, isn't it? Lovely to see the sunshine. See sun hats, straw hats, it's the funny hats. I brought my funny hats with me. Got various variety of funny hats, straw boaters, but I'm wearing one of my old ones I used to wear at work all those years ago. I used to do one of them little old jobs that you don't want to know about. Anyway, catching the racing late today, and we'll be tuning in later, Eurovision permitting. Oops, soz, happy hills, meantime, David Thompson, not on mate. Anyway, you enjoy Eurovision and all that. Ian Tucker on the hill, one of our competitors from, I think, down near Newquay, down in Cornwall. So he travels a long way, and every time I see him, I say, are you going to bring one of them pasties up for me? And he still hasn't brought me one up, and he knows I'll probably be here on these British rounds. So I come on here, and I think, was it his wife I saw up in the paddock earlier? Pons could do with one of your lovely Cornish pasties next time you come. Definitely. Genuine Cornish pasties, I mean genuine ones, they are the business. The best one I ever had, you know, was bizarrely, was in Tavistock of all places. You need oodles of black pepper on them, loads of swede, loads of mutton and all that stuff. I think the mutton's best. Here comes Ian Tucker in his OMS. Going well today, nice to see him. He'll be followed by John Cottrell. Jack Cottrell's dad, driving a glorious Pilbeam, an MP82. This is quite an early car. Got a Millington engine in the back of it. Not got the power some of these later models have got, but what a beautiful thing. Look at the paint job on this car, doesn't it look great? John has also got a big business in the Midlands. He's also got a tarmacking business amongst other things, and he did Lowton Park, I think. Anyway, this sounds a bit meaty. This sounds like Andy Bugard. He's come from the Channel Islands in his Force PT. He often posts stuff on Facebook, makes me very jealous of his view from his house and when he's walking his dogs. So Andy Bugard, he has a long journey to get to anywhere. He's got to get the ferry across from the Channel Islands for a start off. But of course there are 2 rounds in the Channel Islands, and he hasn't got to go so far for those. Terry Graves, electrical contractor from Cornwall. He's had this car a while. He's got an IndyCar V8 in the back of it. Goes extremely well. It's an absolute flying machine. Looks absolutely terrific, actually. Beautiful car, well sorted car. Lovely, lovely colour scheme on that one. He'll be followed by Richard Summers, and he's in the AFS P4T. And this car is Alex Summers built this car in his garage once, and it took I think 7 years to build, and he's got a bit of Firestorm bits on the back, a V6 engine in it, and then he built it all from the front end there, and he built all the spoilers, carbon fibre spoilers and wings, and he built it for Mum Lindsay and his wife Debbie. But Richard drives it now as well. Here comes Paul Crute, another gentleman that's driven all the way up from Cornwall in his OMS 28 with the Jag V6 in the back. It sounds marvellous, but that came out of a road car, so it's not a highly developed engine. It's a comparatively small 300 brake horsepower compared with some of them 700 horsepower. But he comes for the crack, comes for the ride, loves driving. Lovely, lovely chap. Used to have a Renault dealership before he retired. Anyway, here comes Simon Andrews in his OMS 28 that he shares with Bernie Keble normally. It's a V8 motorbike engine in the back of that, which is basically 2 V4 motorbike engines put together to make a V8. Lovely, lovely little thing. Jack Cottrell in his Dalara's on the hill in his Dallara. He's not long left to start. He's already on his way down through the S's down to Chippies and down approaching Country. And in fact, in the commentary boxes, I don't know this hill as well as the others I go to. I've got all the hills written down, and I've got the hill laid out in front of me, and I've put them all, reversed them around so I can read them. So I'm not really an expert, but I'm getting the hang of it anyway. So he's coming into Orchard. Here comes young Jack Cottrell. Lovely, lovely lad. Very talented young driver. Got an IndyCar engine in the back of that one, so it's got plenty of horsepower. Listen to that one sing. He'll be, I'm sure he'll be in tomorrow's runoff, earning points tomorrow. And he'll be followed by David Uren in the Gould GR55B that Nicola Mingers was driving earlier. He has left the line. He is on his way somewhere. I can see him down there. He's down there by Country there now. David Uren, very quick driver. I remember one of the runoffs when Wallace won the championship last year at Prescott. David Uren was the fastest qualifier for the runoff in this car, which was no, and then he eventually finished 5th, but he was leading the runoff that Wallace needed to do very well in. Anyway, here he goes, having a look at that one. He's on his way. Young Trevor Willis has just left the line as well in his OMS, the most successful OMS single-seater driver ever. He's campaigned this car for a few years now. He hasn't got the brake horsepower that some of the others have got, but I think it's a Radical V8 in the back of that one. But look, he can really drive this car, and he always has something to say in the runoffs. He's repainted the front end of the car. It's in fact the whole car. I think it looks absolutely terrific this year. Sounds terrific. Young Trevor, and he's going to be followed by Andy Greener. So I'm just looking at the times there. So Trevor Willis has just done a 49.29 to go quickest so far today in this practice. So young Matthew, who did a 49.63, Trevor has shown him the way so far. But it doesn't matter today, unfortunately. But this looks remarkably like Andy Greenan's got his other run now. Andy Greenan's a very, very rapid driver with his brother. This is in the Empire Evo 3. Always driving quickly. Gets it up the hill this time. Hopefully he had a flag last time. Finishes in a 52.35. Fair play to Andy. Now, here comes Will Hall. Will Hall is on the hill. Here he comes, young Will. This is the Gould GR59 Judd. Look at this. In blue, Will is a very quick driver. The car's a ballistic missile. Wow, Will, I'd love to see him win tomorrow's runoff. That would be a real reward for his efforts. He's a brilliant competitor, lovely, lovely chap, really modest. 49.28 for Will Hall. He goes quickest today so far. They're waking up, folks. They're waking up. Here comes Alex Summers in the DJ Firestorm. This sounds amazing. It's Cosworth IndyCar V8 in the back of it. Revs up to 14,000 RPM. Amazing. Will he go under 49 seconds, Alex? What have you got for us? 49.51. Goes third quickest today. So they're waking up, but they've still got quite a bit in the bag for tomorrow. Here comes Matthew Ryder in the big Gould. Got to be a good bet for the championship this year. Alex Summers, Will Hall, Wallace Menges, Matthew Ryder. Here he comes, listen to this. Wow, beautiful, beautiful. He's going to go quick enough, but no quicker than he needs to. Today is about getting them up the hill, getting the car prepped for tomorrow. Now, something exciting on the hill now that came second in the runoff at Shelsley Walsh last weekend is young Alex Coles from Plymouth. Neil Coles' his son. They drove an OMS together last year. They sold the OMS. They bought a half share in this force, which belongs to Kelvin Broad. They are now co-owners of this car. Neil's running the car effectively this year. Goes up past it. Alex Coles, what sort of time is he going to post? He did a 53.91 this morning. This long hill will suit those big Goulds better. Alex Coles finishes in a 53.70, so he's going to be up against it to get in the runoff tomorrow, but who knows. Here comes Andrew Dickens in his Austin Mini Countryman, or Clubman rather. If you watch the programme Matthewson's, and they've done about 100 episodes of that now, he works in the office there and he's been there for 14 years, so he's flying the flag for them today. And I did say I wondered if it was possible to get one of them to come and do some commentary, but they're very busy rallying, aren't they? Plus making TV programmes, they're probably just far too busy. And then come the weekends, they're probably recovering more cars to put in the auction. But that lovely little Mini, that's very unusual, isn't it? Nice, pretty car. He comes from the northeast. He's here with his wife, who was brought a racing bike with her, and she'd been out for a ride on the racing bike this morning. It's in the big hill you see over to the left there. She'd ridden up that this morning, and she'd come back looking like she'd ridden up that hill, but she's very fit. Here comes one of my favourite cars of the day. This is Robert Med in his MGC. Look at that. Look at that. 3-litre MG. It's got an Austin Westminster engine, I think they fitted in those. It's on triple Webers. It's got the big Sebring arches on it. Just looks the part, sounds the part. You can drive it down the pub. It's road legal. Comes from Dubai. He's here with his wife today. He's off to the finish in 80.97. He'll be followed by Ian Peacock, who's just gone by in the MG Midget, and will be followed by Richard Derrick in the 1275 GT Mini, which is a very pretty little car, red with a black roof on. Here it comes now, coming through past the farmhouse into the bend now. Here he comes in the little Mini. Not many cars left, I don't think, to run. Still a few down at the start. We'll be followed by Mike Brown in the yellow TVR Vixen, which is just coming into our view now. This is 1800cc Vixen. Some of the later ones, they called them the Tuscans, had big V8s, big V6s, but this one got the 4-cylinder engine in it. We'll find out what engine's in that one. It's an 1800, it could be a Ford, it could be a Volvo, not entirely sure. But Jim Thompson's on his way. I think he's a long-time competitor in this Triumph TR6. The TR6 is a 6-cylinder, fuel-injected Triumph engine. Lovely thing. I think I mentioned earlier, I had a TR5 when I was a young man, many years ago. Wish I still had it now. Anyway, he's still got a nice TR6. Heading off up towards the finish. Be followed. We got a batch of Ferraris now. We've got a few Ferraris coming on the hill. The first one is Jim Johnson. It's Peter Rogerson in the Ferrari 360 Modena. And you'll see this one coming into view. I'm just going to switch off and have a slurp. Nice Raucus engine on that one, isn't it? Very nice indeed. Heading off up towards the finish. And this morning, David Snelson was the pick of the Ferraris with a 63.78, comfortably quicker than anybody else. And I know he's got a good collection of them as well. But anyway, he's brought one out today, which we'll see later on. I think it was a yellow one from memory. Here comes Anthony Atwood in the glorious Ferrari Dino. This one is not going fast up the hill. It's too valuable for that. Here he comes up towards Farmhouse. Bit of a privilege to see this car, actually. Hope he's okay. He's going fairly steady. Anyway, so the crowds are thinning out now. So some of you have been making your way home, no doubt. But we've had a lovely afternoon, and I think the Ferraris will probably be finishing off our meeting today. If you can make it back tomorrow, we've got the British Championship round, which we probably explained before, which also will be live streamed as well. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to an amazing day's action. So what's happened here? Why are we stopped here at the moment? We've got cars down on the line. So the Atwood Dino has, I think, gone up towards the finish. Hopefully it's got around the corner there. Sun's still out. It's quite breezy out there at the moment, isn't it? We're back in action. We're back in action. Right, slight delay. Brian Jackson's on the hill in his Ferrari Portofino. A front engine Ferrari, that one, beautiful. That one, really, really nice. Most of the modern Ferraris are rear-engined, but obviously the classic models that people enthuse about, like the GTO, the 250 GTO, which are worth millions and millions, they were front-engined too. But this one's front-engined, and I think they still make, I'm not a Ferrari expert, I think they still make front-engine Ferraris. I'm sure they do. Anyway, this one here, this is the Portofino of Brian Jackson coming by us now. And we'll be followed by Steve Nunney in the Ferrari 348 PS. Flashes his lights as he approaches the finish, brakes hard, gets round Quarry, on his way up towards the finish, and finishes in a 67.76, decent time. Good time, actually. Yeah, he was fourth quickest this morning, and he's gone quicker this afternoon by nearly a second. Alrighty, so Steve Nunney on his way to us in his 348 TS. Here he comes now. Yeah, they certainly still draw a crowd of Ferrari, don't they? They're very desirable things. I should imagine they're not the cheapest cars to keep on the road. Ferrari spares wouldn't come cheap, would they? He's on his way up to the finish, and we're waiting now for Richard Priest in his Ferrari F430. Here comes young Richard. I think this is a black example, if I see from here. Anyway, I think this one sounded pretty good earlier. Opens the throttle up. Semi-automatic boxer. I don't know if they're manual gearboxes or autos on those. I'll have to have a look. I didn't get a chance to have a look at the Ferraris this morning. But he will be followed by Martin Jones. He's in a Ferrari F360. I don't know whether the F360, the 360 denotes the engine side, whether it's 3.6 litres. I don't know. I think it possibly could. That said, anyway, here comes Martin Jones. Accelerates up there, up towards the speed trap. He'll be followed by Rob Samuels, who's on the hill in his 458 Speciale. And Rob is already looking where he is. Is he coming into my view? Here he comes now. This is a fine looking vehicle, isn't it? Yeah, how quick is he? He was quick. Rob Samuels was third quickest this morning with a 67.61. Heading off up towards the finish. I think the Ferraris are probably here only today. Goes back with the 67.35, stays in third place at the moment. Will be followed by John Kennedy in a 360 Modena, and that car was the second quickest here earlier. Here he comes now. Looks absolutely beautiful. That's another front engine Ferrari. Listen to the power of that. That looks brilliant, doesn't it? Doesn't that look nice? Sounds great too, doesn't it? John Kennedy approaching the finish. He had to do 67.24 earlier, and he has finished in a time of 67.70, so slightly smaller. So we've got Pauline Goodwin to come in the 328. And I think I mentioned to you earlier, John Goodwin's her husband. He went into space last year, and one of the oldest men to go into space. And he paid something like 22,000 quid years and years ago to do it, and then that became very good value when the cost of it now. So there goes Pauline. Got a lovely collection of Ferraris back. They live near Stoke somewhere. Pauline's here representing the family here. Lovely to see her. She was sixth quickest this morning with a 73.76, and she's done a 74.46. Here comes David Snelson in the yellow car, comfortably the pick of the class this morning. 63.78 was young David. He's heading up towards the finish. He's almost got this one in the bag. He's just got to get over the line. Finishes in 63.53. That is quicker than he did earlier. Wins that class at Ferrari Owners Club. Fantastic. Well done to him. I must go and have a chat with them all and try and find out a little bit more about them. But it does look to me like we might be at end of meeting for today. The marshals have gone off their post now. I think they're going to have a tidy up for tomorrow. So folks, I see you walking off the hill. Thanks for coming today. Been a fabulous day. We're back again tomorrow for more. The British Championship round. Harewood has got the first round effectively. Come back tomorrow if you want to see the fastest single-seaters in the country dicing for top 10 runoffs 2 times. Thank you for all our marshals. Thank you for Harewood for organising today. Brilliant day. Sun's shown. Thank you again. My name's Chris Ponson. I'm signing off. Goodbye for now.
Hill climbing is one of the most popular forms of motorsport. Drivers compete against the clock over a tarmac course, typically around 1 to 1.5 kilometres long. It attracts a whole range of cars, from road-going saloons to specialised single-seater racing cars. The British Hillclimb Championship is the pinnacle of the sport, with over 150 drivers tackling 14 events around the UK, including Northern Ireland and the Channel Islands. The contest for the title of British Hillclimb Champion is dominated by powerful race cars, with reigning champion Wallace Menzies driving a gold single-seater powered by a 3.3-litre Cosworth engine designed for the Indy race car series in the USA. The BHC Cup runs alongside the main championship and is fought out between a wide range of cars, all running in classes of similar type of vehicles, from road-going saloons all the way through to specialised single-seater race cars.